What's up, everyone? Dylon here, and today we're going to talk about why Bitcoin is going to zero because it is valueless. So like this video, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get rolling. So I had a recent comment on one of my other YouTube videos saying, I think my video was on what's going to happen to Bitcoin after the halving, and the person comment is like, it's going to go to zero because it's valueless. And it's always fun to get these comments and, made me make this impromptu video, like kind of a rant. It's for people. It's 2024 and Bitcoin's been around 15 years. And there are still people out there, mind blowing, that are like, oh my gosh, this thing is valueless. It's worthless. It's junk. It doesn't have any use, right? It's going to go to zero, right? There's people out there that still spout these statements. And what it tells me, and it's sad because it tells me they haven't even done their research. Okay. It's one thing. I mean, partly because they're a person that randomly comments on YouTube videos. Like generally when people comment on stuff like that, it's kind of an emotional reaction. And people that tend to be more like emotionally reactive are probably people that do less of their own research because their emotions decided how they feel. And so their emotion is dictated by the headlines they read on whatever their favorite article is, because they got established that way when there was a kid, because someone in their family that they respected and loved, that's what they watched and that's how they acted, and they haven't changed since. Oh my goodness. Right. So it happens. So I'm more like, I guess be sympathetic or empathetic, maybe empathetic I understand. Okay. I was once like that. I was once bitter and resentful to Bitcoin, and didn't want to do my own research because I believed the headlines, and I was wrong because I could have bought it and I didn't, and the price went up, and I was like, oh man, well, it's a scam, it's going to crash. Well, guys, it's 15 years later and Bitcoin is still here and it's doing better than ever. I don't think you can be a rational person who has taken the time to learn about Bitcoin and think it's some scam, think it's some Ponzi scheme, think it's going to collapse, right? Generally, the people, even really, really smart people that I know that aren't into Bitcoin, like some of the smartest people that I know aren't into Bitcoin. And the reason why, and I've talked about this in other videos, is because they haven't, like I said, they haven't taken the time to learn about it, because their life hasn't created problems and situations where they are forced by necessity to discover Bitcoin, right? Generally, these people they're young, life's going pretty well for them, they got a good job, it's paying well, right? And so they don't need to learn about money. Money's never been a problem for them. They got good cash flow coming in from whatever corporate job they have. Maybe they're middle to upper middle class or a little bit more. So they don't even have to learn about it. They got something that's working for them. It's paying their bills. It's allowing them to be entertained. It's allowing them to do the things. They're on a path that, relative to their peers, looks pretty good. And so they don't have to question the same types of things. But that reality is not the majority, right? That reality is a minority of people. The majority of people, and this is where the value of Bitcoin comes in. Let me just read what Google, when you Google what is value. The number one thing is, it is the regard that something is held to deserve, the importance, worth, or usefulness of something. Right. Number two is a person's principles or standards of behavior. Like that's something like what you value. Verb, what is the value of the monetary worth of something? Well, the monetary worth of Bitcoin's over $60,000. And then, right, consider someone or something to be important or beneficial, right? Like that's of high value or something like that. So the first thing is usefulness of something. So what is the usefulness of something like Bitcoin? Well, one particular usefulness of something like Bitcoin is you can get final settlement. You can do peer-to-peer transactions without a trusted third party. These are unique things. These are actually very useful things. Bitcoin is universal. There are no borders to Bitcoin. It's an open source protocol. So anyone, anywhere in the world, right, with any background, any political persuasion, any religion, right, any level of intelligence can get access to Bitcoin. You only need to have connection to an internet to learn about Bitcoin, to hear about it, and be able to get connected to the internet. And thankfully, almost everyone in the world can get connected to the internet. There are very few places in the world today where people can't get connected to the internet. And unfortunately, those places are generally places that, either have chosen not to live that way. I'm talking about you Amish, right? Or, worse, they've been forced not to by terrible leadership. Let's just say that. So most people can access the internet. Most people, when they hear about Bitcoin, they have the time to do the research. They can go learn about it. Everyone has time, right? Everyone has 24 hours in a day. Even if you're really busy, you can always find the time. to do something if you actually care and want to learn about it. And if you're working for money, if you want to save money, if you want to increase your purchasing power, I think it's useful to learn about money. And that's where other people on the other side of the spectrum, so you got the people that know some things, but they money is in abundance, so it's never a problem. So they don't think about it. Okay, like you don't think about the air you breathe until you don't have very much of it, and the only way you don't have very much of it, right? Maybe you're out of shape and you walk up a set of stairs. Okay, then you start thinking about, oh man, right? Or you're at altitude and you normally live at sea level, or you're running for the first time you haven't run in a while, or you're just like working really hard. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm out of breath. So you don't think about the things that you have an abundance of. Generally, most people don't do that. So there's those people. Then there's the people that just haven't been educated on it. And because they haven't been educated on it, or educated on just financial matters in general, and unfortunately that's most people, they don't even know where to start or what to look for. It's like not even on their radar because it's never something they've really thought about or put much time into. One, because they haven't been told that it's something they should think about, which is unfortunate. That's how us humans act. But it's just never like crossed their mind as something that they can control, or they can learn more about and can make a difference in their life. It just always seemed like something that's out of their reach or out of their grasp. And there's a lot of people that are like that. But with videos like this, with more content, with more adoption of Bitcoin, those people are becoming fewer and further between. So I think that's amazing. But people that make these comments, right, that's valueless, it's like it's just so frustrating because it's like you haven't done the research. You haven't spent any time learning about this thing, because if you have, then you'd see there's merit, you'd see there's value. And when I was talking about this, how many years ago? 3 years ago? You could have started learning then, and you probably would have acquired some Bitcoin, and your Bitcoin would probably be up from when you acquired it to now, right? Or at least basically break even. Still, majority of Bitcoin holders are in profit. So even though we're down from $72,000 for Bitcoin, we're still looking really good. And the future is very, very bright, especially with the spot ETF approval. I'll keep hammering that home. That is significant. More stuff like that is on the horizon for Bitcoin in this market. And so I think that's incredibly important. And one more comment someone made, right? So one, if you think that, before you get to the other comment, if you think that Bitcoin doesn't have value, just do your research, understand what value. Maybe it doesn't have value to you, right? But it has value to people all over the world, allowing them to store wealth in places where they've never been able to store wealth before. Is breaking down barriers that have existed for the entire existence of human civilization, right? And mainly that barrier is the ability to store wealth over time without it getting stolen from you, or reducing the chances of getting stolen or taken from you. Bitcoin enables people all over the world to do that, right? In various forms. It's maybe not perfect, but there isn't another perfect thing. So it really helps bank the unbanked of the world, right? It really helps power the disenfranchised people of the world. It really helps empower individuals who are recognizing their government is oppressing them through money printing and inflation and destroying their purchasing power and taking away their future. It really helps you. I'm speaking to you, even Americans, right? People all over the world are noticing that and are waking up to that. So that's happening. There was another person that said, and they made a comment, they're like, I won't support Bitcoin because Iran is buying Bitcoin and Iran is bad. And I'm no expert on Iran. I know they are not necessarily buddies with the United States. We have conflicting goals and personalities and views and beliefs about the world and how we want to exist in it. I'm saying that we as the United States, Western culture, and then Iran is Iran. Okay, do I think Iran's evil? No, of course not. Right. I think people are very complicated, and people have different motivations for things. And just because they have different motivations doesn't necessarily make it right, but that's what I'm saying. And that's all I'll say on that. But the person is saying, hey, well, because Iran is buying Bitcoin and Bitcoin's supporting Iran, I won't support Bitcoin. And that's super silly, because that again, is another person that doesn't understand what Bitcoin is. It's like saying, I won't support the air because Iranians breathe air. I won't support math because Iranians, they use math. I won't support water because Iranians use water. I won't support gold because Iranians use gold. I won't support, whatever it is, right? You can list off all the things. And because the thing is, these are open networks, right? Open things. There's not a restriction. I mean, maybe if you can't get gold, but there's not really a restriction to use these things. It doesn't matter. And so it's not like Google, who you can like say, hey, Google's not allowed in these certain countries, or Facebook or whatnot. This is something that Bitcoin can't be blocked by that. It's an open source protocol. And what that means is that everyone can use it. And because everyone can use it, inevitably there's going to be people that use it that you don't agree with. There's going to be people in countries that use it that benefit from it that like you wish didn't use it and didn't benefit from it, but you're not the gatekeeper on that. And that's a beautiful thing. Right? You're taking humans out of the equation to be, the judge and the jury, and to, I guess you could even say, the executioner, right? To be the final authority. You're removing the human piece from that puzzle. And the human piece from that puzzle, because it's been one of the, like, it can be good, but it also creates some of the most problems in the world by putting a human that is fallible in charge. Because unless you believe there's only one right way to live, one right perspective, right? If you put someone in charge, they're always going to be in opposition to someone else, okay? Because sometimes perspectives conflict, views conflict, beliefs conflict, ideas about how things should operate conflict, okay? So if one person is in charge, what's going to happen is one group's going to be favored over another. And, that could be good for the group that's favored, but less good for the group that's not favored. And with something like Bitcoin, there isn't any of that. Everyone is welcome, and everyone is welcome to use Bitcoin as they see fit. And, over time, it's either going to strengthen the network, which I believe, and the best ideas, the best applications, the best implementations, the most useful uses of Bitcoin are going to win out, right? Some people think the opposite, and I think there will be some struggle and pushback and back and forth, but I have optimism and hope and faith and belief in people and a belief in something like Bitcoin that I believe over time, right, the best implementation of it, the best use of it's going to win out. So just to conclude, right, if you think Bitcoin has no value, Bitcoin does have value, right? Immutable ledger, that is an amazing thing. If you don't understand what that is, like, it allows us to actually record history without it being written from the perspective of the victors. That's really significant for future generations, for better or worse. That's out there, right? It allows you to store your purchasing power without getting inflated over time. It empowers billions of people all over the world to be able to store their wealth, no matter what regime they live under, no matter what their background is, no matter what, where they came from. Bitcoin allows that, empowers that. It allows final settlement without a trusted third party. You don't need to get approval from your bank, right, to send your money that you've worked for, that you expended your time and energy to acquire. You don't need to do that. Okay, it's something that you can truly pass down. It's something you can actually take with you when you pass away. So Bitcoin has a ton of value. And the final thing is that Bitcoin is an open network. You can't bar people from using it. Anyone who tries is going to fail. The countries, institutions, individuals who embrace the open network will win. The ones who try to reject it will lose. Okay, and it is something that can bring people together all over the world. I think I can say that, like, we want people to be able to store their wealth, their energy, right? We want people to be able to live, to feed themselves, to feed their families, to feed their grandchildren. We want people to be able to take care of their families. I don't think like that there shouldn't be any controversy there. We want people to be able to live and be happy and healthy, right, and carry out their lives and not be oppressed by the government's decisions. And Bitcoin enables and empowers that. So anyways, if you're listening to this video, I appreciate it. Give me a like. It really helps with the channel. And if you think differently, make sure to leave your comments below, right? And if you leave something like Bitcoin has no value, it's going to zero, well, I'll just know you probably haven't done your research. And in this case, go out and do your research, right? Learn about it now. Learn about it today so you can make informed decisions in the future versus ignoring all the signals that, hey, maybe you should, allocate a little more time, maybe a little more capital, not financial advice to Bitcoin. So that's it for this video. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.